Dr. Philip, do you have any advice on creating the business case for investing in people reporting and analytic solutions?
Yes, absolutely. I think I would always advise looking at this from two key lenses. The first lens being your chief HR officer. So I think things they're really going to care about are things like speed and agility. And again, I think this is where there's a lot of excitement and opportunity in people analytics. So ultimately, it's about providing organizations the agility to move quicker and faster than their competitors. Also, it's an opportunity around, scale and what I'd say call democratization of data. And so really it's around getting it out of the hands of those specialist HR users to actually getting it in the hands of the business. And I think the biggest low-hanging fruit are your people leaders. Actually being able to scale that is really valuable. I'd also say it's an opportunity to move away from your descriptive analytics to more prescriptive analytics, and this is often a big roadblock for HR functions. It's very reactionary in nature. Often traditional reporting is really retrospectively looking at information, so it's kind of already happened, as opposed to trying to understand what's happening, what's heading our way, and in doing so, helping equipped HR to think, well, do we care? Do we want to actually do something about that, as opposed to, oh, it's already happened. And then finally, I think it's really helping HR have a seat at the table and be much more data-driven, insight-driven function and really have a more strategic conversation. I think for me, when you're focusing on your chief HR officer, these are kind of key things that, as I say, they're really going to care about, really understand, and ultimately, what is that business impact and value that we're going to have? I think you need to apply the finance lens as well in terms of, aligning this back to the business strategy and showing that you're having a good return on investment and value of investment on the initiatives and things that HR are interested in. The second lens, which is a really important one, is the lens of your chief IT or data officer. Often, it may well be your chief HR officer budget and decides ultimately how they're spending that. But whenever you're investing in analytical solutions, it will often be your chief IT or data officer, the one signing the contract. So it's really important to understand what things that they really look out for. And so in your business case, you've got to think about, is this building on legacy? And unfortunately, HR functions have traditionally been underinvested in technology, so they have a lot of legacy, and they tend to try and keep building on that. So I think IT execs want to see that you're not building your tech debt, and you're actually not keep having that dependency. So really aligning that around your enterprise data and analytics strategy and roadmap. So hence, people are moving away from your traditional data warehouses to data lakes and data lake houses. So obviously it's a long roadmap and journey, but you need to ensure that you're aligned to that. So it's really important. Other things they care about as well when you're doing the business cases, it's not duplicating existing capabilities. So a lot of organizations, they've invested a lot modernizing their HRIS or HR information system. So, we want to say, well, how is this duplicating, functionality there? So being really clear around how that I suppose ecosystem, how these things are complementing each other and not duplicating each other is really important. And I think finally, there are lots of concerns around, how and where we're sending information. So again, is that information being hosted? Is it on-prem within your ecosystem, or actually it's a software as a service and it's hosted overseas and things? So obviously there's growing concerns around, data privacy and governance and things. So there's lots of assurances in terms of how that information is being used. And also part of the IP as well, that you want to be investing and biasing, building your own internal IP and data sets and things. And so hence, companies don't want to give that up easily and just provide that to obviously external third parties. So these are some of I think the key things to consider as you're building your business case. And like I say, I think thinking from the lens of your HR officer, what your, how that's being aligned to your centralized IT and data analytics function. And then I think the third lens is really the true customer, which is the business, right? And so, how are you getting it in the hands of the business? How is this translating into actionable insights that they can ultimately take action, and that's how we're going to win, right? And I think coming back to the first point I made around speed and agility, that's how people are going to compete in terms of who can move quicker and faster than our competitors. And ultimately, it's the action that happens off the back of those insights that is what's really important. If you're measuring these things but nothing happens, it's not really going to be effective. So I think for me, whenever you're crafting a business case, I think think of those three lenses: your chief HR officer, your chief IT or data officer, and also ultimately the business stakeholder or the customer who are going to be using this.
Amazing. Thank you. All three of those are very important. And thank you for sharing your expert insights.